Why should I go to hell just because God made me a non-faithful person? So, not in the faithful way as in cheating and in promiscuous activity, but I mean faithful as in I cannot put my faith in somebody. I can't wrap my head around religion. Okay? My friend brought up a really great point yesterday, and he said, he's like, well, I'd be going to hell anyway, even if, like, they were a God or not, because I can't believe in God. I can't get myself to believe in Him. No matter how much I try, I could never believe in God. I just don't think I'm wired that way.
The question I would be asking is, number one, what do you mean by God? Okay. When we talk about God, what do you mean by God? What is your definition? What is your characteristics that make up the personhood of God? And then second, what do you mean by that God created you this way to be wired like this? Number two, and then what do you mean? What is hell? And I also would love to ask the question, what is the nature of man? Because you're making lots of assumptions without actually having a root understanding of the nature of man. To understand the nature of God, and how he operates with man, you also have to ask and answer the question of what is man? Why would there be such a thing called hell if man is, by definition, a default, is good at all times? Got to ask that question.
And I'm like, it's really interesting. So why would God ever make him that way? Why would God ever make him to where he can't believe in him? So he'd be destined to go to hell. That seems very unfair and counterintuitive. Okay? So there's two possibilities. It's either that the Bible is wrong and that as long as you're just a good person, you go to heaven, or there is no God. And I think I lean a lot more toward the second one.
Wow. Okay. That is the incorrect either or fallacy. That either the Bible's wrong because you're a good person and you should go to heaven, or that God does not exist. So what you're saying is that there is no win-win. There is no win at all for anybody that is a Christian in this little dilemma you have here. It is that either the Bible is wrong or that God does not exist. So either God does not exist or Scripture, an entire worldview, Christianity is wrong. With all the evidence, both in Scripture and outside of Scripture, within the nature of reality, that points to the fact that God does exist, as well as that Scripture is true. You're saying that's wrong because you have your own standard of morality. Where do you even get your standard of morality? Where do you even get under the view of what is good? What is good in your worldview? Do you even have a worldview? You say that God does not exist, yet you're speaking about him as if you understand something about God that apparently Christianity and those that follow Jesus do not.
And I think that religion itself is just a thing that was kind of made to control poor people. But that's kind of edgy to say that, and I don't necessarily like want to sound like an edgy communist because that's what communism kind of believes and stuff. But that's just something I wanted to put out there, and a friend of mine said, and I'll see y'all later.
An edgy communist? That is directly out of Karl Marx's books, talking about the fact that religion is an opioid for the masses. It is for the poor people. It is just to control them, to make sure that they don't get out of line. That is an exact quote from Karl Marx. That is communism right there. Yes, religion is an opioid for the masses right there. That's crazy right there. Well, that is quite unfortunate that this person thinks that just because there is such thing as hell, that God should not exist because people should go to heaven because based on them being good. That is incoherent. Um, uh, uh, he has a lot of questions that he needs to ask himself and try to figure out what is good. What do you mean by hell? What do you mean by God? What do you mean by the fact that you are wired this way and destined because you can't have faith? What do you even mean by faith? These are the questions that need to be asked. It's interesting because this entire video has something on here talking about hashtag philosophy. Well, you're not really doing philosophy if you're not actually asking these types of questions. You're just rambling on. It sounds coherent because it's on TikTok, but it's not coherent. Ask the questions: what is good? What is man? What is God? What is heaven? What is hell? Ask those questions, and then, as well as asking the question, what is faith? And then come to a conclusion. Don't sit there and say, well, I'm just not wired this way because, I don't like the Bible. I don't like the fact that people go to hell. Well, why do people go to hell? Ask those questions first. Thank you.